Hello and welcome to this edition of Culture Mosaic, where we weave together the vibrant elements of tradition, modernity, and artistic values of Vietnamese culture. Our first segment of Culture and Lifestyle will take us to the heart of Hanoi, where the ancient craft of knife making is experiencing a renaissance. We'll witness how this traditional craft is being revived, transforming visitors into blacksmith apprentice and drawing their genuine interest. Next, we'll delve into the culinary world with Chef Tommy Pham, a Vietnamese Australian whose passion for food bridges two cultures. We'll discover how Vietnamese dishes like bánh cuốn, bún chả, and bún mắm not only connect him to his roots, but also introduce the rich culinary traditions of Vietnam to the world. And in our final segment, we'll explore a unique fusion of contemporary ballet that blends European classical music with Vietnamese folk elements. So join us in this captivating journey where East meets West through the rich cultural tapestry of Vietnam, exploring the timeless and the contemporary, the familiar and the unexpected. Cutlery craftsmanship shows potential as Hanoi's next tourism product. Vietnamese Australian chef connects to Vietnam through culinary arts. And contemporary ballet with fishing tools, paper fans, bridging European and Vietnamese cultures. Online travel platforms Agoda has named Ho Chi Minh City among 8 ideal destinations in Asia for slow travel for tourists to stay longer and enjoy the local culture and cuisine. To enjoy a slow holiday in Ho Chi Minh City, tourists can start with the Vietnamese style iced coffee with condensed milk in the morning before seeking a quiet spot at Tao Dan, one of the city's oldest parks. Searches for slow travel have tripled in the last 5 years, according to data from Google Trends. Slow travel encourages visitors to stay longer at their destination and allows them to create deeper connections with the local culture and people. Vietnam has made shortlists for numerous awards at the prestigious 31st World Travel Awards, according to the Vietnam National Administration of Tourism, or VNAT. The country is nominated for awards such as Asia's leading beach destination, Asia's leading culture destination, Asia's leading destination, Asia's leading heritage destination, Asia's leading natural destination, and Asia's leading youth travel destination in 2024. In addition, Ho Chi Minh City is a contender for Asia's leading business travel destination, while Hanoi has been nominated for Asia's leading city break destination and Asia's leading city destination 2024. Other nominated localities include Hội An and Huế for Asia's leading culture destination, Hà Giang and Hà Nam for Asia's leading emerging tourism destination, Phú Quốc for Asia's leading luxury island destination, and Mộc Châu for Asia's leading regional natural destination. Da Nang and Ho Chi Minh City are also on the list for Asia's festival and event destination 2024. The 2024 Sapa Monsoon Run took place in Sapa Town, Lao Cai Province. This is the 4th time the event has been organized, attracting over 400 participants. Runners could choose from 3 running track distances, 8, 16, and 20 kilometers, which started from Cat Cat Village through Hoang Liên Commune, Cloud Bridge Worth, and Muong Hoa Valley. The running route features the enchanting terrace fields in the monsoon season, stunning natural scenery, and the unique cultural features of the local ethnic groups. The event was a chance for running enthusiasts to train, improve their health, promote tourism, and introduce Sapa to more visitors. The Vietnam National Opera and Ballet, or VNOB, will perform the classical ballet Swan Lake at the Opera House from June the 14th to the 16th. To this day, no other ballet surpasses Swan Lake's artistic influence, a masterpiece woven from Tchaikovsky's music and the choreography of Petipa and Ivanov. Swan Lake 2024 is choreographed by meritorious artist Liu Thu Lan. The ballet will gather notable dancers such as meritorious artist Phạm Thu Hằng, dancing talent Đức Hiếu, meritorious artist Văn Nam, alongside many young talented dancers and collective dance troupes. The Theatre Symphony Orchestra, comprising more than 60 musicians under the baton of conductor Đồng Quang Vinh, will accompany the performance. With the upcoming rendition, the Vietnam National Opera and Ballet Swan Lake promises to breathe new life into this timeless classic, offering a romantic ode to pure love, where goodness inevitably triumphs despite the trials and tribulations endured along the way. The whirring sound of metal grinding machines, the rhythmic beat of hammers, and the blazing heat of traditional knife forges have recently captivated an increasing number of visitors to Hanoi as they choose immersive experiences over typical leisure travel. These unique activities are part of a new experiential travel initiative that transforms visitors into blacksmith apprentice. Experiential tourism has significantly revived the endangered craft of knife making, drawing interest both domestically and internationally. In this week's Culture and Lifestyle segment, we'll take you on a journey to the Da Sĩ traditional village in Hà Đông District, Hanoi, to learn more about these works.
For much of his career, artisan Hoàng Tùng was the sole worker at his blacksmith workshop. Unless he needed more hands on deck. However, he is no longer alone. His knife-making sessions are now frequently attended by locals and visitors, eager to witness and participate in this extraordinary craft. Unlike typical tourist experiences, visitors at these sessions are enveloped in dust, smoke, the blazing heat from steel furnaces, the sharp scent of kerosene, and the clanging of anvils and hammer. Amid these challenging conditions, students have gained a profound appreciation for the intricate craftsmanship behind everyday objects.
Đây là lần đầu tiên mà em được đến làng đa sĩ và xem các bác làm được một con dao hay cái kéo như thế. Em cảm nhận thấy là khi chỉ cần mình thái một nhát dao thôi thì nó rất là đơn giản. Nhưng mà khi mà em trải nghiệm được là từ các công đoạn này đến các công đoạn khác, chẳng hạn như là mùa hè như này mà vẫn phải đứng trước lò nung tầm khoảng hơn 1000 độ C thì em thấy thật sự rất là vất vả khi mà phải làm ra một con dao như thế này.
Beyond observation, visitors to Da Sĩ village can get directly involved with every step of the process. They get to hammer blades into shape, rough grind to remove iron fillings, and manually polish blades on grinding stones. The most intricate task, blade grinding using an electronic grinder, is only reserved for skilled knifesmiths due to its complexity and safety hazards. However, artisan Hoàng Tùng always encourages curious visitors to give it a try, while providing protective gloves and goggles.
There's some parts of it that are kind of scary when you're on the belt and you're sanding the blade and there's sparks flying everywhere and you're trying to hold on to the blade, but the wheel is trying to spin it and take it out of your hands. But overall, it's very enjoyable.
Knife sharpening know-how covers all necessary details, from the correct sitting posture and the correct angle for blade sharpening, down to minute details, such as eye-hand coordination for evaluating blade sharpness and the non-strenuous handling of a hammer. Hoàng Tùng can always tell when a visitor is demonstrating excellent techniques and never holds back from giving praises. This raw experience has deepened Gary's appreciation for traditional craftsmanship. Like many other visitors, he now acknowledged the importance of preserving and promoting this cultural heritage and hopes it will go a long way.
I imagine knives that we have at home are usually mass-produced in factories, but if you come here and you choose the blade and choose the handle and actually work on it yourself, then you're going to appreciate that piece much more. Knife making, I think it's an underappreciated art. It's an important tradition to keep alive.
Thanks to the promotion of Da Sĩ as a craft village, Vietnamese handmade knives are gaining popularity both domestically and internationally. known for their superior quality and meticulous craftsmanship. These knives are becoming sought-after souvenirs for many travelers.
Con dao nó phải có dáng dấp, cắt làm sao nó phải ngọt. Những cái lúc mà mình xuất được những con dao ấy đi là mình phải nói là rất là hạnh phúc và rất là sung sướng. Cả thương hiệu đi nước ngoài rất nhiều, ví dụ như Ba Lan, rồi là Dubai, Đức, có một số ở Bỉ nữa.
In late 2023, the young generation of Da Sĩ Village introduced a new experiential tourism model, offering a craft village tours for local students and foreign tourists. Despite numerous challenges, promoting tourism in craft villages is seen as a sustainable way to preserve these traditional skills in modern hustles and bustles.
Bên mình đang có một cái hướng đi để phát triển và bảo tồn làng nghề, đó là phải phát triển song song giữa cả các cái sản phẩm và thêm cái loại hình du lịch trải nghiệm nữa. Bên mình cũng đưa các cái sản phẩm lên mạng xã hội như là Facebook, website để giới thiệu sản phẩm, hình ảnh sản xuất để mọi người có thể hiểu rõ hơn về sản phẩm của làng nghề. Ngoài ra thì cũng hợp tác với các công ty du lịch để đưa du khách đến thăm và trải nghiệm các hoạt động tại làng nghề.
Bây giờ đầu tư máy móc rất là hiện đại, mà quan trọng cái máy móc nó chỉ làm phôi thôi, là chất lượng hay không vẫn phải thủ công. Nên là rất là mong muốn là tất cả các cái lứa tuổi mà còn trẻ thì cố gắng là theo cái nghề mà để phát huy truyền thống của cha ông từ xưa để lại. Để mà mất cái nghề tiếc lắm.
Bánh cuốn, bún chả, bún mắm, or bánh canh, those dishes that are extremely familiar to Vietnamese people have made a strong impression on world food lovers when appearing at the MasterChef competition, one of the most prestigious culinary arenas in the world. A young chef, although born and raised in Australia, not only contributes to bringing Vietnamese cuisine closer to international friends with dishes and carries the typical national flavors, but also plays a role as an ambassador connecting the two cuisines of Vietnam and Australia. Let's find out about the story of Chef Tô My Phạm and how he maintains a spiritual connection to his homeland through the culinary arts with On the Mic.
Today I've made bánh canh cua.
When brought to the 13th and 14th season of MasterChef Australia a few years ago, these dishes that are very familiar to Vietnamese people created a pleasant surprise for the judges and guests of a prestigious cuisine competition. Born in Sydney, Australia, he used to work in IT field and was once a kindergarten teacher, but turned to culinary arts because of the love for Vietnamese dishes passed down from his mother, a woman from the coastal city of Phan Thiết. The young chef who let Australian food lovers and the whole world know more about bún chả, bún mắm, crab noodle soup is Tô My Phạm.
Thank you, Tô My, very much for taking the time to join our interview.
Oh, you're welcome, I'm very excited.
So Tô My, how many times have you visited Vietnam and what activities did you do on your most recent trip?
I visited Vietnam when I was younger, probably about once every year or two. Recently more, I've been going about 3 or 4 times a year. My most recent trip, I've been working with the Australian Embassy to do some Taste of Australia events.
So when mentioning Tô My Phạm, I think of a young man with a huge passion for Vietnamese food. But I know that previously you worked in IT and then became a kindergarten teacher. So what led you to this culinary journey?
I think it's pretty crazy, like, the journey that got me here. Like, I always liked computers when I was younger, so I went into IT. And when I moved to Japan and I was working there for a couple of years, I taught there and I started to love teaching. And I was like, oh, there's nothing new for me. And then all of a sudden I went on to MasterChef, just for fun. And I was like, oh, I just want to try it out, see what it's like. And then I started to build this really, really strong passion for Vietnamese food. The biggest person that inspires my cooking has to be my mum, right? You know, I grew up in Australia and she cooked Vietnamese food for me all the time. I grew up on Vietnamese food, so it's like home for me, right? And whenever I felt like I needed to make something that helped me in the kitchen, in the MasterChef kitchen or anything, I wanted to cook Vietnamese food.
Well, I'm very impressed that you appear not just once, but twice on MasterChef Australia.
So why did you decide to participate in such a rigorous competitive competition like this?
I don't know, like the first time it was obviously for fun, but I just got a lot further than I realized I would, and it became really serious. And the second time, I knew it was something I wanted to continue doing. There was a lot of Vietnamese dishes that I really wanted to start like sharing to the world. I think I have two of my most memorable moments. The first one has to be that dish that I cooked on the second season when I first came back in, and it was bún mắm. Even my mum told me not to cook bún mắm on MasterChef. And I think if you were Vietnamese, everyone would know that bún mắm is very pungent, right? It's got a smell, and you know, it might not, like Vietnamese people love it, but other people might not. And I was like, I don't care, like I love Vietnamese food, and I think people should try it. For Vietnamese people to see that, it's like, oh wow, he won the top dish, you know, we should be proud of all of our foods. And I think that's a really nice memory for me. And the second memory would be, there was this challenge, and it's like, oh, make something with zucchini. And I was like, okay, well, what can I make with zucchini, right? Just a zucchini dish. And I thought, well, I love bánh cuốn, why don't I make a zucchini bánh cuốn, right? And instead of making a bánh cuốn, I thinly sliced some zucchini and then wrapped it with some filling, and then I steamed it. So it looked like bánh cuốn.
So during the competition, you actually introduced some of the lesser known Vietnamese dishes. I believe that some of these dishes have been quite challenging to make. So what challenges did you encounter when recreating dishes like this?
I think there's always a challenge of, are they gonna like it because it's so different, right? What I learned on MasterChef is that it's not about changing Vietnamese dishes in the sense of the ingredients and the flavor, but it's about changing the way you make something to make it more interesting. For example, the bánh cuốn thing that I did, and put it into zucchini and wrap it and steam it, and still have the same kind of textures, right? So that's the hardest thing for me, was to replicate the Vietnamese flavors in the Vietnamese like the way you eat it, into other ways.
In recent years, after coming out of the MasterChef competition, Tommy Pham is gradually becoming a cultural bridge between Vietnam and Australia in his culinary field. Tommy is a familiar guest at events that connect the culinary art between the two countries. In 2023, Tommy published My Family Kitchen, a family cookbook with 60 traditional and modern Vietnamese dishes. He also has been busy with many activities to introduce food lovers of all ages to the richness of Vietnamese cuisine. For him, honoring Vietnamese dishes is also honoring his own origins.
So Tommy, you actually published a cookbook called My Family Kitchen. How did you decide on the recipe?
The recipe, I mean, the book for My Family Kitchen came about from, well, what am I doing on a day-to-day basis? And I cook for me and my kids, right? And I think it's probably one of the hardest things to cook is for kids. I've been a MasterChef, but I think it's harder to cook for my kids than it is to cook for MasterChef. A lot of parents struggle with that. So I was like, you know what? I think it would be really nice to have a book that parents can use to cook for themselves and for the kids at the same time. It's like getting that stress away from parents, one less stress away from parents. And what do? I'll make a base food with less, you know, fish sauce or salt or sugar. You know, we add all the extra stuff like the chili and then more nước mắm or more fish sauce, all those kinds of things for the adults, and then everyone can enjoy the same meal.
Is there a particular dish in the cookbook that you're really proud of?
I think I can say pretty confidently that thịt kho and bò kho is literally every adult and kid's favorite dish, right? Like, it feels like home. If you're like having a bad day and you go home, like when I was younger, and your mom's like, oh, there's thịt kho. You're like, oh, yeah. You get a little bit of rice, a little bit of thịt kho, a little bit of like, the pickles, and you sit there and you just veg out and you eat, and it just feels like home, right? And I think it's so perfect to have a dish like that in the book, because it really kind of gives that family home vibe. I think there's a lot of Vietnamese dishes that go kind of unnoticed. People really should try is like hủ tiếu. You know, like hủ tiếu dai with some soup. I think people know of phở, and people know of bún bò Huế now. But I think hủ tiếu is like, it's a really like simple but a really, really nice dish, right? It's very, the flavor is really easy to eat. And I also like bánh canh. I think I grew up eating bánh canh, and I think people should eat bánh canh a lot more as well. For those people that want to help kind of promoting Vietnamese culture and representing Vietnamese culture, I think stay true to your Vietnamese roots, what you really, really love about your Vietnamese, your experience of Vietnamese culture, and kind of share that, right? For me, it's food. If I have a friend, like I meet a new person, and I can connect with them through food, I become their friend really, really quickly.
So what's next for Tommy Pham? Will you be sharing Vietnamese cuisine to the world?
Yes, because I am Australian and Vietnamese, so I love kind of using that connection that I have with Vietnam and Australia and kind of showing Vietnamese people how you do things with Australian things and showing Australian people how to do things with Vietnamese things. And also I've got I'm an ambassador for Koto. They're all about, taking kids that are disadvantaged, housing them, giving them food and giving them, like certificates, training them in hospitality so that they have a better future. And I'm the ambassador, so I really work closely with them on making menus and training. So I'm really, really proud to be a part of that as well. I want to be able to inspire them to, hey, just because you cook Vietnamese food, it doesn't mean that you can't go anywhere far. I go into the schools and I'm like, think about this. I went on a MasterChef and I did really, really well with Vietnamese foods, right? So you should be proud of, your cuisine and what you're cooking. You should be proud of, everything that you have in Vietnam.
Well, thank you, Tommy, for taking the time for your interview. I wish you all the best, and you will continue to promote Vietnamese cuisine to the world.
Thank you, I will.
A ballet that blends European classical music with Vietnamese folk elements to tell the story of the Vietnamese people. How does this resonate with you? How do fishing tools and paper fans interact with Vivaldi's classic Four Seasons? In this week's Connecting Culture segment, let's embark on a captivating journey where East meets West in a stunning display of contemporary ballet.
A ballet performed to the strains of Western classical music, yet set against the stage background of northern Vietnam with its straw mats, bamboo screens, paper fans, and bamboo fishing jabs.
Từ cái nơm mà tưởng như rất là thân thuộc, rất là thô sơ của người dân Việt Nam. Khán giả sẽ ngạc nhiên khi bỗng một lúc cái nơm cá đã trở thành những chiếc váy rất là điệu, rất là duyên dáng, hay là sẽ trở thành những cái mũ hoặc là những cái cửa sổ mà tiếng chim hót của mùa xuân được điệu vợi ở trong cái phần chúng tôi biến tấu.
Go beyond costumes and props. Every movement is carefully choreographed to seamlessly blend Eastern and Western cultural elements. The dancers' feet perform ballet steps, while their hands embody Vietnamese cultural symbols.
Cái tay ví dụ là tay thứ 1 của ballet, tay thứ 2 của ballet, tay thứ 3, tay duỗi thẳng của arabesque là bất di bất dịch và không được thay đổi. Thì với cái không gian của gió và có màu sắc của mùa Việt Nam thì Tụi Khải dựa trên những biểu tượng văn hóa Việt. Ví dụ đây là hoa sen, ví dụ tách bông hoa sen thì đây là những cái cánh. Tiếp tục chuyển sang một cái hình khác, ví dụ đây là con chim, nhưng chuyển sang một cái hình khác thì Tụi Khải lái giữa cái bông hoa sen và có cánh nó mở, những cái hình ảnh của rất là Á Đông.
The ballet is set to the classic Four Seasons suite by Italian composer Vivaldi more than 300 years ago. However, the performance does not follow the original chronological order of the Four Seasons, instead beginning with winter, autumn, summer, and finally comes the spring. This unconventional sequencing serves to narrate a story with the Vietnamese people at its heart.
Nó chính là kể câu chuyện về 4 mùa mà con người Việt Nam mình đang sinh sống ở đó. Trong đó sẽ phải đối mặt với gió bão, đối mặt với cơn gió hoang vu, với những cơn bão, đối với những cơn lốc. Và đến cuối cùng là một cơn gió mơn man của mùa xuân, của cái quạt, của tươi mới. Đó là sự hy vọng, đấy chính là ý chí của con người.
Hình tượng cái nơm như là những cái chiếc quạt cũng là cái tâm tư tình cảm của cái người Việt Nam. Do vậy là mình muốn cái màu sắc văn hóa của Việt Nam được truyền tải, sử dụng cái ngôn ngữ múa ballet cổ điển, những âm nhạc phương Tây để thể hiện được cái con người Việt Nam, thì đấy là cái sự kết hợp mà mình nghĩ là sẽ đến gần hơn với khán giả.
The ballet Gió is a synthesis of European classical music and imageries and stories from Vietnamese culture, expressed with the artistic language of contemporary ballet. Through this fusion, the team hopes to introduce the unique features of two cultures to a wider audience.
Bên cạnh cái nhiệm vụ là phải bảo tồn, phát huy những cái giá trị văn hóa cổ điển, truyền thống, thì bọn mình còn có một cái nhiệm vụ rất quan trọng, đó là phải cập nhật thời đại, phải sử dụng những cái giá trị truyền thống đó vào những cái phát triển có thể đến được với giới trẻ, vẫn có thể làm cho nó sống với thời gian bằng những cái cách làm mới, những cái bộ mặt mới.
Đây là một vở diễn mang tinh thần của Việt Nam rất là rõ, nhưng đâu đó mọi người lại nhìn thấy rằng trên một cái nền nhạc châu Âu, quan trọng nhất là cái sự hòa quyện với nhau rất là đều đặn và rất là nhuần nhuyễn. Chúng tôi nghĩ rằng cái văn hóa của Việt Nam nó chính là cầu nối để nghệ thuật của châu Âu, văn hóa của châu Âu tiếp cận gần hơn với nhân dân và với tư tưởng của văn hóa nghệ thuật của Việt Nam.
The performance has left a profound impression on audiences both domestically and internationally.
I think the performance was outstanding. The performers were all Vietnamese, so gives a Vietnamese touch to it. But the music, as you know, is from Vivaldi, an Italian composer. It was a good combination of the two.
Đây là lần đầu tiên mình được xem một vở ballet mà mình thấy rất là hoành tráng. Các diễn viên nữ họ mặc cái nơm như kiểu là cái váy xòe và họ biểu diễn ở trên sân khấu kết hợp cùng với âm nhạc là mình rất là ấn tượng.
Narrating the story of the Vietnamese people through the artistic language of Europe, this creative endeavor received thunderous applause that lasted for nearly 10 minutes at Hanoi Opera House. This demonstrates that the intimate, delicate beauty imbued with the Vietnamese culture can indeed interact with Western ballet and classical music.
And that is the end of our program. If you'd like to catch us online, download the VTV Go app from your Google Play or App Store, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go for more of our programs. And don't forget to join us next week for another episode of Culture Mosaic. Goodbye for now.